and what happens with politics is they spend money on other things to where it jeopardizes the revenue for those that truly need it, such as the programs that you're talking about here. And,
very well said.
And that's my point, and that's what we have to push for, is that, they say, well, everybody that wants to see their thing funded, well, that's going to hurt this many jobs if that's done away with. Well, there's just not an endless line of money. We've got to take care of the most important, issues that our federal government needs to fund in your program, or this 9/11 program, and for our veterans. Those are absolutely necessary. It's just when the money is really stolen from one department and used towards another one. What is that called, Jeffrey? That's not like Social Security has had money stolen out of it many times that these politicians allowed. And it's just a shame. It's holding those guys accountable for that stuff, because you're messing with money that could help the 9/11 responders and our VA people.
Well, that's part of what this new HR 3858 will do. These new draft bills. They're talking about basically taking $150 million from Medicare. I mean, how many times are we going to steal from Social Security and Medicare to fund other programs? We don't want it. We're not asking for that. There are other ways to fund this program. Those will all be coming out soon. That, Republicans and Democrats alike will be fine with. Certainly there have been discussions already about how this is being funded and how it will be funded. So, I don't like to talk about myself very much, but I'm going to talk from a very personal point to try to drive this home to some of the listeners. I know you're on board. When the Victims Compensation Fund, which we call the VCF, that portion of the funds which will be affected by this HR 38 that Goodlab has proposed. His proposal could cut our benefits by 60%. Now, what the compensation fund does, and a lot of people are familiar, I'm sure, with workers' compensation. The black lung disease also has a compensation fund. This is to provide for families, for those that are sick, and for those that have passed and their families, their beneficiaries, for their future. Now, I've already been through the process of the VCF. Initially, what they give up front is 10% of whatever award value they deem for your individual case. And everybody's is different based on the severity of the illness, your lost wages, and your age, and a lot of other factors, very similar to a work comp criteria and formula. So now, if they go and they cut, and that's what's going to happen here if we don't get this refunded, the award that I've been promised, I'm going to be in a world of hurt. I live on Social Security disability. I have about $1,500 a month that I live on. I'm okay with that. A lot of people aren't okay with that. I'm okay with that because I managed to pay off my home. And so I don't have a mortgage sitting over my head or rent to pay. But a lot of people aren't in that same boat. And so, like we've talked about over and over again, are you going to pay your mortgage and your rent, or are you going to pay for your medications? Now, we're talking about the compensation side of things. If they cut the awards by 60%, which could very well could happen, and we're already expecting a shortfall on the remaining amounts that were promised to us. So we're already expecting some pro-rata amount coming to us, but 60%, for all the years that I could have continued working, for all the years that I could have been putting money aside to put my grandchildren through college, to make sure that my home is taken care of, because right now, if I get a major repair needed on this house, I'm going to be in a world of hurt. That's going to eat up what little savings I have left. And so I'm not asking for a handout. I paid into Social Security. I worked well over 40 years. It's not as though I haven't paid into programs, that I haven't helped and assisted other people in their times of need, through my taxes and through other charitable donations. This isn't a handout we're asking for. We're asking for them to do the right thing. And what Goodlab has proposed is not the right thing. And it's going to hurt all of us, those already in these programs and those that are still going to need to come into these programs, because we are dying every day. I'm posting a new memorial for someone who's died from a 9/11 related cancer or lung issue or the other illnesses. And these programs are instrumental to our family, to our 9/11 family.
That should send a strong message, Claudia. Appreciate you being willing to share your message from a very personal side. And that's the part that's not being heard. And we spend billions of dollars in waste in some of our programs, and they just give the money away. They give the money away to people that come into this country illegally. And the people that deserve the money, that need it terribly from their efforts in getting exposed to something that they had no idea that they were exposing themselves to, and that willing to have help in the drop of a hat, are being abused here. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. There's so much money being spent on people that come into this country illegally. It's just mind-boggling. And the cost of incarceration, Jeff, for people that come here illegally, those numbers are just astronomical. And we've gone through those numbers with people that are aware, but, and then somebody, a politician, is drawing up a new plan which is going to delay funding. And then they're going to take the money from another area of government where those folks may need it. That may be folks similar to you, that have worked all their lives, that are subject to it. So it just needs to be known. I will say that, the numbers are what they are, what you need, and then there has to be a clause in there. If that money is spent, then there needs to be a rapid bill that comes to reality, to where it funds it, to where there's more money available. Part of funding is understanding how fast the money has gone through to get a measurable on just how severe the situation is. But if it's in the heart, in the mission, in the culture of our politicians to vote on things that take care of folks that have put themselves at risk or harm's way, if that's in the culture of our government, then it's going to get funded. But it sounds like to me there's people playing games to make themselves look good.
There you go.
I also think that most of the country, we as a country, we have very short memories. And a lot of people it's gone from their memories, where it's a day. We live with the day every day. It doesn't go away. It's part of who we are. And I think that
we're sick and dying because of it.
Right.
And that needs to be driven home, that it didn't end 14 years ago. That the murders continue. Every day. Every week I'm posting another memorial.
Yeah. There's people that are in government that were very young when 9/11 happened. And so for them, it's something that they read in a history book. I'm involved with Ground Zero 360. And what we do is we have a traveling exhibit about Ground Zero. It's a photographic exhibit and artifacts from Ground Zero. And we have gone to 18 different venues worldwide to try to educate people on the events of September 11th. And right now we're at Jesuit Dallas Preparatory High School in Dallas, and anybody can go and see the exhibit because they were generous enough to fund the exhibit. The exhibit's self-funding, but we go around to try to educate people. We did lectures on 9/11 to 4 different classes. They were public policy classes, so that young people really understand what happened that day. Because the people that, they weren't born, and then there were people that were very young. And I don't think that really they recognize that we're still living with the aftermath of 9/11.
I'm going to use a similar analogy there that President Truman said about the Holocaust. That if this isn't documented, somebody down the future will claim that it never existed. And
that's true.
so it's, that's awesome, number one, that you found an organization that would fund something that where you can keep people educated. But now we've got to get it out there. I've got some ideas that I'm working on that I'm going to talk to Claudia about. We're a tiny little radio station right smack dab in the middle of the country here in Missouri. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, that's Claudia coughing from this crap she has in her lungs from the World Trade Center event. So it's good for us to. I hate that you're going through it, Claudia. I hate it, but it's important.
I'm sorry. What?
I said it's. I hate that you're going through what you're going through, but our listeners need to hear the effects of this this contaminated dust that got into your lungs that's causing you to have this terrible cough. So I feel.
And if it wasn't for all the medications that are provided to me through the World Trade Center Health Program and a little honey jack, I don't know that I'd be able to get through this broadcast without coughing. Michele knows. Michele and I have talked at different times of the day and night, and she's heard really how horrible it can get. The one thing that I would really reach out to your listeners right now, we need you to start calling your representatives. We need you to start calling your senators. You can go to our website. There's all kinds of wonderful information on our Zadroga page. All the contact information is there. All the updates are there. Everything is right there at a glance. And we very proudly added Reagan Network to one of our links there. And we're so thankful that they're giving us a voice to get this message out. But please call your representatives. You can see who's on board, who isn't. Right now for Texas, since we've got Michele on, I just wanted to give a shout-out and thank yous to the 4 representatives currently supporting this bill, our bills, from Texas. And that's Michael McCall, Will Hurd, Michael Burgess, and Blake Farenthold. And Blake is also on that Judiciary Committee that Goodlad has just come out with this other bill off of. So we thank you so much, and we pray that you will get this word out, especially to the Republican constituency, because those are the folks we really need to get on board and to give the empathy and understanding and education necessary for everything that we've all been saying on the show today.
Okay. Well, we'll reach out to that, and Dell communicated here just a moment ago that he says that far too many Americans that they just don't, whenever the next day took place, 9/12, 2001 is fading in memory. Okay, so and you mentioned to me, and when we communicated back and forth, that when I figure out your own time slot, which I need to get that done for you. We'll do the live show on Now You're Talking, and I'll repeat it during that time slot, okay? That you wanted to have Dell on with you. And so he knows you well. He is someone that's very much aware of the challenges in politics like you are. Plus, he speaks his mind.
Yeah, Dell and I have quite a few mind-opening conversations. He's a great guy. We don't always agree on everything 100%, but boy, we have a lot of love and respect for one another, and isn't that really what it's all about?
It really is, and I mean, we're Americans ultimately. And what did they do back in the day, Claudia? I'm going back to the day of the Minutemen people. They just got together and took care of things. Back in those days, they didn't have the medications like we have today, but every house along the territory would have beds and have care for people that were hurting.
And they took care of them.
They took
right
care
up until the end, if need be.
And
They looked after one another. You know, we've grown as a country, we've grown as a nation, and certainly our technology and schematics, everything's changed. But the basic foundation of who we are should never change. And that's being there for one another. You know, I'll add this because I know we're running so long on the show today, but I just want to add this. You know, I was not only a firefighter and medic, a 911 dispatcher, lead dispatcher and training officer prior to 9/11. But I also, of course, was a responder to 9/11. And in any of those positions, I didn't care what color you were, what race, religion, anything else about you, because I had a job to do. And that's how I want our politicians to look at this. Forget that you're Democrat, forget that you're Republican, put away the partisanship, and just work together as real Americans to do the right thing.
Amen.
That's right.
Do the right thing. And look at it, if you or your wife or your child was subject to the same things these first responders were subject to, it needs to hit home. You know what happened? I mean, we all know and feel for our military that's being abused, you know, by not being cared for. There's a reason for that. It's how it's managed. A lot of good people in there, but it's how it's managed, and unfortunately, there's politics coming into play there too.
We're trying to get out and meet our representatives. We're going to Senator Cornyn's office, going to see Representative Lamar Smith to try to make it real for them. That we're not just we have to have a face and a name so that they can hear and see our stories, and then make it human for them.
Well, way to be, Michele. And anything else you would like to mention while we still have you on the show here?
Sure. I'm involved again with ground0360.org. We are at Jesuit Dallas Prep until November 24th. If you can get out and see the exhibit, it's great. We are looking for a home for the 15th anniversary. If there is some type of exhibit space, please contact us. If you'd like to donate so that we can travel the exhibit around the country, please, once again, ground0360.org. And we want to keep the memory alive, and we want to educate as many people as we can so that it's not just another day in a history book.
There you go.
And we'll put a link to their website also on ours, so that people will also be able to easily find them.
Oh, great, thank you.
Okay, but it's say what it is again, Claudia.
Our organization that we're working with is Ground 0360, and our website is 9-11 rescueworkersandfriends.org.
Okay.
And we have everything they want to know. It's right there at a glance. Very easy links and information to follow.
Michele?
Including these radio broadcasts.
Michele, way to be.
Can I just say that Claudia does a phenomenal job keeping the rest of the 9/11 community very well informed about politics and events and memorials. Sometimes most days it's very difficult to look at the page because we see that somebody else has passed away, but she really is the engine that drives this ship. And so thank you, Claudia, for everything you do.
Thank you.
That's Claudia Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. We have Michele on the line. Ladies, thank you very much. And Claudia, I will call you one evening this week if that's okay.
I look forward to it. God bless you both, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't say that enough.
Thank you, ladies. And Michele, way to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, Jeffrey.
70,000 people are sick, Dave. Yeah.
Any issue that we go through here, it seems like absolutely nothing, doesn't it? I mean, it's just they they took in their heart and soul what was top of the list in their own minds is that something happened here and we need to help our fellow citizens.
Right.
Wow.
No concern whatsoever in those moments for their own personal safety. They had a job to do.
And they need to be looked after now. So, and I tell you, I get streaks of rage inside my soul when we spend money on things that have no relevance to taking care of those that put themselves at highest risk, and they don't get funded. Do you get a streak of rage inside your soul there, or am I by myself on this?
Oh no, I just look at it from my own personal perspective, and I wonder sometimes just how many people there are who are seeing the big picture here